Chief of Staff of the Italian Navy Admiral Enrico Credendino on June 8th confirmed that service is considering procuring its first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, stating that this was part of a broader effort to address evolving maritime threats and energy requirements. The need for increased onboard power for cyber defense and drone warfare made the capacities of nuclear propulsion systems potentially valuable. The nuclear-powered carrier remains in the conceptual and feasibility assessment phase, although procurement of such a ship would align with the southern European states' evolving strategic doctrine, which emphasizes the need for continuous global deployments, enhanced mission readiness, and greater integration with allied forces across a wide range of theaters. The ability of Italian industry to develop a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier remains in serious question, with the only prior European attempt to produce such a ship having resulted in major performance issues and cost overruns, producing the French warship Charles de Gaulle, which has suffered from serious limitations. Italy's nuclear industry is considerably less advanced, and it is likely that a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier program would rely on significant support and technology transfers from either France or the United States. Only France and the United States have produced nuclear-powered aircraft carriers in the past, although the Soviet Union laid down one supercarrier with nuclear propulsion systems, the Ulyanovsk, which was not completed before the state's disintegration. The Indian Navy and the British Royal Navy are among the services that previously considered procuring such ships, before focusing investments on conventionally powered vessels. The Chinese People's Liberation Army is expected to begin to field nuclear-powered supercarriers in the 2030s, and is close to commissioning its first conventionally powered supercarrier, the Fujian, into service. Although multiple Russian nuclear-powered supercarrier designs have been pitched to the country's defense ministry, none have been financed. Other than aircraft carriers, the US, France, Britain, India, China, and Russia all produce nuclear-powered submarines, with North Korea expected to begin fielding such ships in the 2030s. Russia also fields the world's only nuclear-powered surface combat ship, the Kirov-class cruiser Admiral Nakhimov. Nuclear propulsion systems have a number of drawbacks, including considerable production and sustainment costs. They provide significantly more power for onboard systems, however, while allowing ships to sustain high speeds and avoiding the need for refueling on long-distance missions. Italy has led Europe in prioritizing military deployments to the Pacific as part of a broader trend towards European states supporting the US-led Pivot to Asia initiative to try to ensure the perpetuation of a Western-favoring balance of power in the region. The country made its first-ever F-35 deployment to Japan on August 4th, when F-35As arrived at the Japanese Air Self-Defense Forces Komatsu Air Base in Ishikawa Prefecture to participate in exercises with Japanese air units. Such deployments have been strongly endorsed in a number of Western papers. The Italian Armed Forces began their second F-35 deployment to Japan in August 2024, when 8 of the F-35B short takeoff and vertical landing capable aircraft deployed on the aircraft carrier Cavour as part of a tour of the Pacific. The services have placed a strong emphasis on interoperability with Japanese forces in the region, with Italian Defense Minister Guido Crosetto having visited Japan and boarded the Cavour, and stated regarding plans to work with Japan's Navy. "We are talking about ships and aircraft from different countries preparing to operate, should the need arise, as if they are all part of the same force." Crosetto stated that the Cavour's operations in the Pacific were not a matter of sending a message to China or North Korea, highlighting the primary rationale for attributed to the deployment by experts and likely to future investments in nuclear-powered carriers as well. The two East Asian countries were considered the primary targets being alluded to when the minister referred to joint operations as part of the same force and represent the region's only major military powers that are not in the Western sphere of influence and do not host Western forces on their soil. Look, one thing is clear. All of the aircraft carriers that the US has are nuclear-powered. France is the only country after the US that has one nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. Now, other major countries are also trying to develop nuclear-powered carriers, like Italy, and besides that, China is also working on one. India is also considering it. So in the future, we're likely to see many countries building nuclear aircraft carriers. That's all for today's update. Please subscribe and like this video.